What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Carter Scotland Allen here, and today we are taking a look at the third and final installment in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, otherwise known as the Dark Knight Trilogy, with The Dark Knight Rises, which was released in 2012. So let's not waste any more time and get right into this review. So, The Dark Knight Rises, released in 2012, once again directed by Christopher Nolan. Story by David S. Goyer, Christopher Nolan, and Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother. This is once again starring Christian Bale as Batman. We also have Tom Hardy as Bane and Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. It has been 8 years since Batman, in collusion with Commissioner Gordon, vanished into the night. Assuming responsibility for the death of Harvey Dent, Batman sacrificed everything for what he and Gordon hoped would be the greater good. However, the arrival of a cunning cat burglar and a merciless terrorist named Bane forced Batman out of exile and into a battle he may not be able to win. So, for the directing of this film, I have to say it's definitely hard to tackle the final installment of a trilogy when the main antagonist of the middle part of the second installment passed away, which is what happened with Heath Ledger. Everybody knows it. And Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't actually ever really supposed to be in The Dark Knight Rises. They had considered using some deleted scenes and some mix of CGI to have like a little quick shot of the Joker in The Dark Knight Rises, but this was always going to be something different. It was always going to not have the Joker as like the main antagonist. I believe like the very, very early scripts, like the very, very early outlines of the trilogy had the Joker in the finale, but that's not what we got with this. I like this film a lot. I like this film a lot more than I remembered, actually. I will say that. But there are just some weird pacing issues, some characters that I felt weren't cast as well as they could have been. Overall, some just rough story ideas that I felt could have been left out, and you still could have had some great villains. So, and on top of that, I guess we'll say that the directing was good. It was fine. If I had to rate directing on a scale of 1 to 10, which I don't like doing that, but if I had to, I'd put this like at a 7. There was just a few marks that were missed, and that's just due to this film being a little bit long. Some of the characters are kind of pointless. Some of the characters don't feel threatening. And some of the film is just fan service. Throwbacks to old characters, which isn't a bad thing when it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. You can kind of feel the stretch throughout this film. So as for the cast and the characters, again, Christian Bale as Batman, he's fantastic. I said it in my Dark Knight review, but the Batman was perfected in The Dark Knight, and I don't think Bruce Wayne was. I think Bruce Wayne was perfected in The Dark Knight Rises, and not perfected in like, oh, this is the only Bruce Wayne that that should be on cinema. No, I think it's just this Bruce Wayne was perfected within this universe by the end of The Dark Knight Rises. I think the idea that he donated Wayne Manor to the boys' orphanage, and you do see these more giving sides of Bruce, and the fact that he does care for certain people. It was nice to see those sides of Bruce that we didn't really get to see in the other two films. I know you do see his, he wants to find Rachel and things like that, but there was never too many real emotional stakes for Bruce. And I felt like even though there weren't that many emotional stakes in this film, you still got a better idea of what was going on in Bruce's head and not just Batman's head. As for the villain, we have Bane. Tom Hardy did a great job. I was fine with the voice. It didn't bother me. There was only a few times where I couldn't hear it. Overall, Bane was pretty good. He was terrifying. He kills a lot of people, and not to say that I like that, but I like that he did, he had a presence. They did kind of step it up from the Joker, where they showed him killing a lot more people. And so I do have to give them credit for that, for trying to elevate the villain after the Joker, but I just think Heath Ledger's performance was so fantastic that it was hard to watch this film and not compare it to that. But as for some characters that I didn't enjoy, Talia al Ghul, I'll just say it right now, she could have been dropped so quick, and that would have dropped out 30-40 minutes of the movie just because we wouldn't have had the whole pit sequence. Or I guess you still could have done it with Bane, but just not had the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. And once again, Batman Begins, my least favorite part of that was Ra's al Ghul. My least favorite part of Dark Knight Rises is Talia al Ghul. I'm not a fan of the League of Shadows. It just doesn't work for me. And that's a story thing, but also a character thing. And it's just because their goals ultimately they're not very believable. Like, you don't believe her. And I mean, I didn't believe her in basically anything that she said. Like, I was just like, okay. And then also her death sequence was really dumb. Like, she hits the ground really hard inside the truck carrying the bomb, but then she just dies kind of like, my dad's work is already done. It looks fucking stupid. No excuses for that. It's a big budget Hollywood film. Stupid death, stupid decision. I actually will say I liked Robin, and I remember being a little skeptical on that, but I liked that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he shoots those two guys and he immediately throws the gun away. So you do see these few inklings of either Robin or Batman. I liked him as Robin, and I was totally fine with him being passed the mantle of Batman, even though they didn't show him in the Batsuit, which I'm glad. I'm glad they didn't show him in the Batsuit, because we didn't need it. We didn't need another trilogy with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Batman. We didn't need that at all. But the hint and the fact that we know there's room for growth, hell, he could go into the Batcave and just make, he could make a Robin suit and it could just be Robin, but you do get the implication that he's going to be the next Batman, and the fact that Batman could be whoever he wanted, I guess. That's not, you know what I mean. Batman could be anybody, it's just a symbol of hope. And so that's why I was personally fine with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character of Robin being the next Batman. That leads me into, I guess, the story now. So overall, this film, like I said, Talia al Ghul's character, her whole story arc of her being the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, cut that out for me. That would also kind of include cutting out Bruce climbing out of the pit. I did like the symbolism of, Bruce climbing out of the pit, and it was resembling him falling in the well and being rescued by his dad. Just moments like that just didn't work for me. Catwoman didn't work for me overall. I forgot to say that in the cast and the characters, but yeah, Anne Hathaway just wasn't the right choice. But even her story arc of being Catwoman just did not really fit. I hated the fact that she kissed Batman and the fact that her and Bruce actually ended up together. Where did that come from? Their relationship was, they had literally no seeds planted for this relationship. They had come into contact a couple times. They got in a couple fights. They've had some conversations. Never once were they intimate until the kiss. So that moment was dumb for me. I also didn't like her mask, but that was just a visual thing. Overall, I think this film did a good job at concluding this trilogy. It was great seeing Scarecrow back as kind of the judge for the city. But yeah, overall, I think when you bring such a success like The Dark Knight, and then you have to follow it up, and you have to follow it up because you've already said it's a trilogy, it's just, I think everybody probably knew, there's no beat in The Dark Knight. And especially after Heath Ledger passed, there's probably a weird mindset going into filming The Dark Knight Rises. Overall, I did like the story. I did enjoy how evil Bane was and how evil his henchmen were. I liked the exile or death, which is death by exile, making everybody walk out onto the ice, and then, Batman saving Commissioner Gordon. I liked the sequence of the 3,000 cops charging on Bane and his men. Yeah, it was fun. This is a fun Batman movie. It's not my favorite. I'll say it's probably my least favorite of the Batman trilogy, of this Batman trilogy, I should say. But, that being said, let's get into the cinematography. I will have to say, this film is probably the best looking. Even if you love The Dark Knight 1,000 times more than this film, you just have to admit that this film does look better. There's certain shots of Batman just standing on top of a building, and you pan around and you see the sun. Like, those visuals were awesome, and they only last 4 seconds, 5 seconds maybe, but they stuck with me. There's even a shot of Commissioner Gordon wiping his hand over the bat signal towards the end of the film, and just the colors of the sky being so gloomy around him. There are certain shots in this film that are just fantastic. And then as well, like I said before, the action sequences are fun and cool. So that means the visual effects were well done because they were all believable. The bat is what it's called, the Batwing, I'll say. Those visuals were probably the most iffy, and I have to say the design of the Batwing was probably my least favorite vehicle in this Batman trilogy. I would say the Tumbler, then the Batcycle, and then the Batwing. I thought it was cool. It just kind of looked like a claw. I don't know, it just kind of... This film definitely keeps within the visual style of The Dark Knight, which The Dark Knight did not keep in the same visual style as Batman Begins, and that was probably for the better overall, even though I did really like the gloomy, gross aspect of Gotham in Batman Begins. I liked Batman's suit. I liked Catwoman's suit. I did not like her glasses, her goggle ear combination. I liked Bane's mask. He was fine. So overall, all the character designs were fine, but nothing beats Heath Ledger's Joker design. Honestly, I would say Scarecrow's probably a better looking villain than Bane as well. Alright, so now on to the final thoughts. Okay, so you probably kind of get where my thoughts lie within this film and where my opinions fall into place about this whole trilogy. I love The Dark Knight. I really enjoyed Batman Begins, and I liked this film. I will own this film simply because of the fact that I will be buying the whole Dark Knight trilogy simply for The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight so much that I will without a doubt buy it, but I would like to watch Batman Begins. And if I'm going to watch Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, I might as well finish the whole trilogy. I know I'm all over the place with this. I just got done watching the film. I'm tired. But I forgot to say, for the story, I didn't like that Bruce, faked his death. We see Alfred fully react to his death. And we see him say, I'm sorry to Thomas and Martha Wayne. And it's a very, very heartbreaking, sad moment. And it works. I loved that moment. And I would have been happy if they, let the audience believe that Bruce was dead. Because this version of Batman, we've saved Gotham. He's done all that he could do. You could even still hint that Robin could be the next Batman without having Bruce be fake dead. I don't know why you would put Alfred through that grief. It didn't make sense, and then that you'd see him later on in the film in the middle of some other country or wherever they were. But overall, I like this film. I will be owning it. If you love Batman, you probably have this film, have seen it, something like that. This is, again, not necessary to watch going into the new Batman. But if you're like me, you're going to be rewatching every single Batman going into it. I have one more Batman film to watch, and that is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. I have not seen that film since it came out. I'm not excited to watch it, but that'll be the last Batman film that I have to watch up until the release of The Batman 2022. Very excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know I'm babbling on. I'm getting used to this whole editing process. I'm trying to get my thoughts and ideas down. I'm going to be, taking notes more often and trying to just condense everything together so that way I'm not making a 20-minute video like I am right now. We're at 18 minutes and 20 seconds. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. This is The Dark Knight Rises. It was good. It was a fun time. Not my favorite Batman. Not the worst Batman. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter Scotland Allen, and I will see you guys in my review of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Peace.